Welcome to the Charles River Conservancy Parkland show. My name is Renata von Tscharner, and we are going to speak with a real expert about the Parklands. Welcome, Mayor David Maher.
Thank you very much, Renata. It's a pleasure for me to be here today.
So today we have as our guest the Mayor of Cambridge. And as you will hear, we are very lucky to have this river, and probably to be the mayor of a city that has a river makes it even a more special job.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit, Mayor Maher, I understand you grew up in Cambridge, you have experienced this river all your life, and give us some stories of what makes this river so special that we all love and that so many people use every day.
Well, I think that the river is surely a huge asset to the city of Cambridge. And I think that, as the mayor, I need to say that I think we live and work in a wonderful city. Cambridge is a beautiful city with many, many natural amenities like the river. And chief among them is the river. And, I think that as a kid, I can remember driving along the river on a Sunday afternoon and in a station wagon with my 4 siblings and my parents out for a ride. And I'll tell you that back then you used to have to roll the window up in the cars because there was a stench coming from the river. I think that surely the improvements that we have seen in the care that has gone into taking care and rehabilitating the river is terrific.
Mm-hmm.
I can surely remember, my dad was a World War II veteran, and I'm talking about in the 60s, for example, joining with many families, Cambridge families, along the river for July 4th, when there would be games along the river, and we would have races and all, both over at Longfellow Park and over where the Marsh Post is, opposite BB&N. I think that I surely have fond memories of the river, but one that wasn't fond was the smell coming from the river.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's good to see that improvement.
Yeah, we have recently, as part of the Swim of Charles initiative, looked at how much money has been spent to clean up the water of the Charles. And we have now, so far, and we haven't looked at all aspects, we have over $500 million that the EPA, the MWRA, the municipalities like Cambridge, Boston, Newton, and Upriver, all these efforts, and of course of the Charles River Watershed Association, all these efforts amount to $500 million.
It is.
So it is an amazing accomplishment.
And I think what it proves is that it's no one group that can handle this. It really does take a lot of effort on behalf of the state and the federal government, and our, teaching our local residents how to care for this great natural resource in the city. And I know just earlier this spring, you and I were both at the event at the Hat Shell, and to look at the grades from the EPA that they give the river today versus what they were just a short period of time ago. And I believe that it's a B+.
It's a B+, that's right.
And
yes.
That has been, I believe, in a 10-year period, going from something that was surely less desirable than that.
Oh, yes.
And,
yeah. And right where this grade was given out, which is near the Hat Shell, where the Fiedler Head is, that will be the starting point of a 1-mile race on July 11th. And 150 people have registered already.
Oh, great.
And in order to have events like that on a more regular basis, the Charles River Conservancy is now testing the water every day during the summer. So we know exactly where on the river we have what water quality, how does rain affect it, how does the opening of the dam affect the water quality. So we will have that data, so that swimming will be closer.
It's terrific, and I think that I think all of us that are generationally from this city have heard the stories about my grandparents swimming in the river, And it's my hope that we will see that in the future,
Yeah.
in the not so distant
Yeah.
future.
And when you say my grandparents swimming in the river, it's not that the river was clean then, it's just
Right,
people didn't
right.
know how dirty it was.
Correct.
It was really dirty.
Correct.
Yes. So you also, I understand you also a walker, and you walk along the river.
I do. It's I live up in West Cambridge on Appleton Street, and I usually set sail and go right along the river down to the square and along Putnam Avenue, and then come back along the river as part of my route. And I think that it's great to see so many people taking advantage of really this, I'm going to say, urban oasis in a way,
Yeah.
that is again something that many of us probably take for granted, but I think we're terrifically situated, and we're very lucky to have the river as our anchor, so to speak,
Yeah.
along the separation of Cambridge and Boston.
Yeah, and of course the funny thing is that the riverfront and Memorial Drive really is not part of Cambridge. It's
Right.
really part of the state, and it belongs to the Department of Conservation and Recreation. They are the stewards. But something that the city has started, and which is an amazing step, is to do a riverfront plan for something that doesn't really belong
Correct.
to Cambridge. And that's an amazing accomplishment. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that.
I surely think that, we have a very talented group of people in our community development department. I think they take very seriously that the river is a huge amenity to this community. And so they have done a lot of work with the DCR in looking at ways that we can make the river more accessible to folks, and to improve. I think we can probably all look back and say there are places that we think should be improved.
Yeah.
I noticed many of the sidewalks, for example, that may not be in the best shape, but you're absolutely right that that's DCR control. But I think that the city has done a pretty good job at advocating with the DCR to make sure that the roadways and the walkways are improved and more accessible and are wider, to be able to have more people, and not having bikes on the heels of walkers
Well,
and
yeah,
runners.
that still
and-
happens, but the DCR does have funding to along Memorial Drive in front of MIT to separate
Right.
the bikes from the pedestrians, so the pedestrians can be right on the water's edge where everybody gathers now, and then the bikes are on the other side of the trees, and that separation will make it much safer, because there are just so many people who are out there.
Absolutely, and I think if you, I'm sure right now along the river, as the workday comes to a close, I think that we can surely see hundreds upon hundreds of people taking advantage of the natural beauty along the river.
And the wonderful thing about this riverfront plan that the city of Cambridge is doing is, it is the city that has a lot of leverage, is the building permit.
That's right.
And so that they can use that leverage to bring improvements, access to the neighborhood you mentioned, improvements along the water, because DCR doesn't have that kind of leverage, because
Right.
they don't have any permits to give out.
But I think you see that along the walkway down in Kendall, near Kendall Square. I would say another big improvement, although it not be right on the river, it's adjacent to the river, is the new Riverside Park that just opened.
Yes, you were quite involved in that.
Right.
Yes,
Wi-
that's near the Western Avenue
It's
Bridge.
correct, and that is on the old Mahoney's site and the nursery site, and Harvard University owned that property, and Harvard had plans to build more graduate housing. The city has said for years, we want you to build housing, and what we were able to do is to sit down, and over a long period of time, it took a good year of negotiations with the university. I worked very heavily on this along with former city councilor Brian Murphy. What we were able to do is get concessions that the university would build to one side of the lot, and that would leave 35,000 square